Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video, and this is the first layout with my Heidi Swap Set Sales collection. So I wanted to start out right away with one of the photorealistic papers. There's like 5 or 6 of these, and I want to make sure I start digging into them so I'm not left with all of them at the end. I love these kind of papers. I just think they're just so cool. And for this layout, I have 3 photos of Marcus. This is the first page from our St. Augustine trip from last year. And when we first drove in, I'm one of those people, I just get so excited for vacation. I don't want to waste any time doing unimportant things, including driving to the location. So we usually wake up super early the morning of vacations. That way we can get ahead of traffic and just spend a lot of the time driving that we couldn't do anything in the city anyways. So all that to say, when we got to St. Augustine, our hotel room wasn't ready and we had time to kill, which was fine by me because I'm happy to do stuff in town and kill time and start vacation even if we can't check into our room yet. So one of the first things we did when we got there was go to the St. Augustine Distillery. I knew they had, I'd been here before, Marcus never had, and I knew that they had some of his favorite drinks here, and I don't think he's ever been to an actual distillery, so I thought it would be cool for him to see kind of the behind the scenes stuff. Because he's a bourbon guy, he loves his whiskey, and they have a lot of that kind of stuff in St. Augustine. His favorite drink is, what's it called? Oh, no, I forgot what it's called. But it has orange and whiskey and maybe it's bourbon. I don't know. He loves it though, and they were giving out free samples. So we decided just to kill time here. It's really cool. They last time I went, they had a tour, like they walked with you and told you everything. This time it was just like a walk yourself tour. I wonder, it's probably like a post-COVID thing, but it was pretty cool. They had all the information everywhere. We still got to see everything. They had this one room where they had all of the different jars of the herbs that go into one of their drinks. I just thought it was really cool to see everything kind of laid out so you could like pick out all the specific flavors that go into it, and then they include a couple like free tasting stuff. I remember one of them was a mule. It's killing me that I can't remember the other drink because it's like Marcus's favorite drink. But I decided that I wanted this kind of distressed blue to be a matte on this page. That way I could go ahead and have some papers for layering. I was realizing as I was laying out these photos that the only paper I really had was the background, and I wanted to add some depth and have some extra layers. So I felt like this distressed blue kind of went really well with the vintagey look of the photo background. And I needed a decent chunk of it to map my little photo collage. I decided to put all 3 of those photos in kind of a grid formation and create an embellishment cluster in that 4th quadrant. And I just didn't want to cut into that paper in a way that would like be difficult to use the scrap. So I gutted from the center of that blue paper so that I could have a frame moving forward to use on a future layout, which I felt like would be the best way to use the scrap from that. But I'm also gutting the frame, so I will have this portion to move forward to whatever page I end up using that other piece as a background. I'll have a chunk to incorporate into the layers. So from that 12 by 12, I really only have this little frame that's making it on this page. The rest of that 12 by 12, the majority of it really I'll be able to use on a future layout. This was meant to be a square mat. At some point, my measuring, I cut one of the sides too narrow than the other one. But I'm just going to have it running more vertically. I could have trimmed it down even more, but I kind of wanted it to be as big as possible. So this mat is a little more vertical than it is wide, which is fine. I'm going to end up piling stuff in that right-hand quadrant. I really just went through my cut aparts and I was like, okay, which blue matches the best? Because there's like a ton of different shades of blue in this collection. And then what color is going to complement that color? So I ended up going with this kind of distressed navy and then this kind of peachy orange color. So I'm just trying to figure out how to build my clusters using cut aparts that are those two colors. I kind of went through my embellishment in the beginning and put whatever I knew I wouldn't use on this layout aside, just because I have a lot of embellishment and cut aparts this month, and it was kind of overwhelming me. So what I like to do is when I'm starting and I'm feeling overwhelmed by embellishment is I will just sort it into color, and then the colors I know I'm not incorporating on the page, I'll just not look at. I will move them. But I have this kind of larger piece here that I'm going to have filling up that fourth quadrant of the photo grid. So I'm going to go ahead and commit and stick that down. I just haven't decided how I'm going to layer the other things. And then I have this accessory cluster on the opposite corner of the grid that again incorporates that navy and orangey color. So I'm just trying to build my little clusters here. I want to use a good chunk of the cut aparts, but I'm also trying to not use my most favorite things just yet, because I am always worried, even when I have a lot of embellishment, I'll use like all my favorite things right away, and then I'll be left with like just labels on the last pages. So this is kind of the balance I've struck. I'm using one of the die cut orange banners. I'm popping that little adventure cut apart piece up on some foam. So there's a little bit of dimension, and then that's layering over that orangey cut apart. I don't like how the orangey banner kind of bleeds into the orangey cut apart, so I actually will go back to that navy 12 by 12 and use the branding strip to cut another fishtail banner just to layer underneath the orangey banner so that it breaks up those colors and you can really distinguish all the layers. And then I have another piece I wanted to pop up on some foam in the other cluster, so I found this little navy compass from the sticker sheet. I think that was from the sticker sheet, and I popped that up on some foam as well. So now that I'm trying to figure out where everything's going, I'm sticking down. I like this little compass in the corner kind of as the focal point for that area, but I wanted a couple more layers coming off of it. So here's that branding strip. I'm gonna cut a fishtail banner to go by the compass and a fishtail banner to go under the adventure. And I love that because using your branding strips always makes me happy. Otherwise they go in the trash, and I just can't stand that. So I try to use them. I wanted another layered piece, not just the one banner. So I'm looking again at the sticker sheet to see if I can find another sticker. And I found this kind of orangey striped one, which is in my color scheme. So I decided to layer them up, and I think that kind of helped finish out that little bit. I'm kind of not sure if I want to do journaling on that orange journaling spot, or if I just want it to be there for decoration. So I'm trying to leave it blank for now until I figure out if I want to write something there or not. In the meantime, I'm adding that second banner down to the other cluster, which I think helps keep these clusters nice and balanced because there's similar things in both of them, which makes me happy. I also like that I'm able to use more of that navy from the mat around the photos, just so that that paper is in multiple areas. There's a hole in the orange journaling spot because it was the centerpiece on the cut apart sheet, so that's actually the branding strip at the top. I decided to try to keep it and use it as a tag, so I thought it would be really cool to pull in some raw twine. I feel like raw twine would just go really good with this collection, especially because this photo background is more vintagey. So I thought it'd be really cool, especially with like the wood of the barrels in the photos and everything. So I'm trying to figure out a way to incorporate raw twine so that I can use the raw twine to thread the journaling spot tag thing. In the end, I end up removing the branding strip part of the orange thing and doing something different. But for right now, that was my thought process. I really didn't want this cut apart to look really bumpy going over the dimension of the twine. So what I decided to do is stick it to the twine, and then in the gaps of the twine, that's where I'm adding my foam. so that it will lay flat even going over the twine, which I like. So I like that, how that's incorporated down there. And then now, before I can glue everything down, I want to gut. So I always have problems using these scraps when I gut them from a photorealistic background, just because it's such an awkward part of the photo. But I can't not gut it. I just can't. So I'm gutting. I'm going to back it on this cheap black paper for stability, and then I'll kind of get my layers glued down before I proceed. But it's the first layout of the month, and there's so many things I want to scrapbook with this collection. I couldn't not salvage it. Because I have our St. Augustine trip. If I get through that, I think I have like one picture from when I went to Panama City in 2011. But my mom and sister and I just got back from a girls' trip in Savannah. I usually do not jump around scrapbooking. I like to scrapbook chronologically, but if push came to shove, I could print those pictures and start scrapping them. We'll see. There is a little spot for a date on this little navy piece, so I'm just using a white pen to write the date out. This was October 6th of 2022. And then I'm kind of at this point deciding I really don't need to journal because it's very self-explanatory. You can see on the barrels, it says St. Augustine Distillery. You can see the machines, and, I just felt like there wasn't too much to say. So instead, I decided to try to use some of the word stickers that came on the sticker sheet, because you get lots of word stickers. So I just picked 3, and I'm kind of putting 1 in each spot. So that's what I decided to do. And then I kind of got stuck here. Like, I just need a little bit of interest. I was trying to decide if I wanted to do something in the upper right hand corner. And I'm just in a tearing phase right now, I guess. I don't know. So I decided just to tear that top corner to make a little visual triangle. If I added something up there, I just felt like it would help finish out the page and add a little bit of interest. Just because although I'm using multiple cut aparts in each of these areas, it's not a ton of clustery stuff. I kind of wanted to keep it a little bit clean, so this was my solution. I thought about backing it in white and then layering some stuff, but then I decided I should bring back in the paper from my mat and use that to fill it in. That way it really ties it into the photo layers and everything. There's less contrast doing that than the white, but I feel like the white was too in your face. And this just seemed like it would work best for me. So I'm going to patch that corner with a scrap of that distressed blue paper and just add a couple pieces of like darker navy and that orangey coral to finish it out. So I'm just going to back this. I always do this. I decide to tear my paper after I backed it onto my backing and then have to fight with the backing, but it's okay. I figure it out. I'm just trying to make sure I'm lining everything up. So I'm going to get this glued down. One of the things I really wanted to use up there was a tag because it had the navy and the orange together on it. But then I was like, well, I already have my twine threaded through my orange journaling spot, so I really don't want another tag up there because it felt like it was competing with the big piece. And then I was like, well, I'll just use the actual tag instead of the journaling piece as my tag. And so I decided just to cut the top of this into a notebook edge punch instead, which I really like. I'm very happy that I decided to do this, but I did this because I didn't want 2 tags on this layout, and then I end up not using that tag in the torn area at all. But it worked out okay because I actually like this notebook edge punch better than trying to force this piece to be a tag using the branding strip. So I think that's a really, really cool touch. I love this tag up here too. It would have been perfect, but I don't know. I just feel like I didn't want to waste it on the first layout because so much of it was covered. And since I did tear the branding strip off of that piece, I decided I would just use that as my orange pop because that was mainly why I was going to use that tag, was the pop of orange. But I'm realizing there's not a ton of orange in this collection. I already used 2 of my big orange cut apart pieces. I wasn't trying to use all of it on the first layout in case I needed orange farther down the month. So I decided to use the branding strip from that to just give a little pop of orange. I layered a navy stamp sticker of a palm tree, which I think reflects the background really nicely, kind of ties that iconography in. And then just add one more word sticker up there in the orangey color just to balance everything out. So I chose Better Together. I'm popping that up on some foam. The 3 stickers I used by the compass is Escape, Perfection, and Uncharted. So I'm just trying to finish that out. I'm going to trim off the excess and then secure this corner. I didn't glue it completely down in case I needed to tuck things in, but I'm happy with what's up there. So at this point, I feel like I need to finish out the page, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, I feel like I need to do a title somewhere, even though you can see from the photos where we are. I really wanted to like title this Distillery or something. So I was going through my alphas just to see what I had. I'm out of a lot of letters in almost all of my white. I have so many white thickers, but they're all almost dead, so I can't actually spell things with them. So I remembered that I had my stamp ones. It's always when I use Heidi Swapp I remember to try to stamp, because I feel like stamping is such a huge thing for her. She is like the master of stamping, in my opinion. Heidi Swapp stamps like no other. It blows my mind. And so whenever I use her products, I always kind of think about stamping, which is like my absolute weakness. But I got these little alpha stamps and I haven't used them in a while, so I decided I would use my navy ink pad and just stamp out Distillery at the top to serve as my title, since I couldn't really find the thickers I was wanting to use. So I can't remember if I make you watch all of this or not, but I'm just spelling out Distillery. I think that blue actually matches really well, so I'm going to try to remember that I have that blue throughout this month in case I need to use it. I was contemplating inking with that blue on this layout, but I kind of felt like that would be too much. I don't know. I kind of was liking how my layers were looking without being inked, but it did cross my mind. But just piecing through all my letters here. Thankfully, Distillery is written on the barrels. You can't really see it because it's really small print, but I didn't have to spell check myself. I always mess up spelling when I spell backwards. It was nice having it written out already on the page so I could just follow it. But we're almost done. I guess I do make you watch all of it, but I don't make you watch me put all of this stuff away, I don't think. There we go. Those all interlock together, which I also think is really cool. So I just moved all of that. And then my finishing touch I decided would be white Nouveau drops, because that was something I could carry throughout all of these pages to keep them cohesive. So I'm just doing 3 clusters of white Nouveau drops in my visual triangle. And that was pretty much it. So here are the close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think the next page is a double, so that'll be exciting. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.